Yo, what's up, y'all? This philosophical from the rap review room, y'all. What's going on? What's going on? First, I want to get the business out of the way. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the page. Also, if you're an up and coming artist and you want your music reviewed here on the channel, whether that may be a track and or an album, or if you want to interview on this show, where we kind of give our authentic feedback. We talk about your album, the creation process, different things as an artist that you're going through. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. We can definitely get your music reviewed here on the channel where we give honest and authentic feedback. My feedback ain't law. Our feedback is not law. It's an opinion. You ain't got to hate on it. Let's debate. All right. So, reviewing today an artist named DL, right? And I will say this: it's been a great last couple of months for hip hop, right? And not only me, also for the channel, a great reviewing journey on this channel. And I will say this: just as much as I do enjoy listening to music from some of our some keyword some of our mainstream and commercial artists, I've really enjoyed getting to know our independent artists, listening to their albums, and really thoroughly impressed by what I'm hearing so far within our journey. And this album I'm getting ready to tell you about is no different. It's no different. So we got an artist, like I said, DL, man, part of the Inverse Tangent group. Man, it's been a good year for us also. Not only releasing my album, Destruct's album, Soul Logic, and now we have DL here. Album is called R.A.P, the demo, and stands for Rhythm and Poetry, the Demons Exercise Monsters Out. Um, and definitely look out for the interview coming because I wasn't aware of this acronym of what this stood for until he told me, right? And knowing him personally, right, there were some things on this album I will say, man, it let me into, it let me in. It really let me in as far as, wow, I didn't know this was the struggle. And I didn't know this is what you were going through. Not only feeling the emotional perspective from the album, the aura. And when I'm reviewing albums, I try, there are certain, and granted, when we're doing things, whatever we're doing, right? There's a certain tone and a certain perspective and a certain location or environment we like to listen to music. When I'm reviewing the albums, I like to sit back and kind of visualize in a reviewer mode, in a consumer mode, in a listener mode to kind of say, wow, I felt that. I got that, right? And I feel like sometimes that's what's missing in music. Some music, not all. And everybody's opinion is subjective when it comes to that stuff, right? So when I sat down and listened to this album, I and I listened to this a couple times, right? And for me, and we'll go over a track breakdown here. And it's one of those albums where it's like it feels like an artist that is kind of a part of the people, part of me being a man, how to be a man, a part of an artist who is a man. Not only a man that's an artist, but an artist that's trying to also improve as a man, whether that may have been through the past or the present, and also the future. And I got a lot of that on this album, right? I felt the passion, I felt the emotion. Now, I will say that, it's not your typical rap album. There are some elements of an artist that's him. I feel some elements of Logic in there. I feel some hip hop elements in there. I do feel elements of rapping, poetry, skits, and I'll get to the skits in a second. Freestyles, and it speaks on a volume of a freestyle artist that we spoke about in the interview coming soon. A freestyle artist that's just being able to tell his story. It's almost like he went out and wrote and published a book, and I'm reading it for the first time. And I've known this man for a long time, right? Good guy, good artist, family man, husband. But when you hear this music and you hear this album, and it's like, wow, it paints a different perspective of, hmm, I didn't know that, brother. And it brings up a lot of good discussions and topics. Right. And this artist DL has put out previous mixtapes, right? Um, and definitely check him out on that Piff. And he's also stated that he's got more music coming out in the future. This is not the last album. And when you hear it from a first perspective listen, and for me, a couple listens now because it's been out for a little while, and you're just like, man, I felt it. I feel it, right? And we're gonna get through a track breakdown in a second, but sometimes we as artists don't understand the emotional perspective of you being the artist, maybe feeling like another person's not going to feel what another artist is going through, and that's not true at all, right? And I felt that on here. This is an album of passion, emotions, vulnerability, family man, husband, a man that is really, you know, me included can tend to appreciate this, trying to follow in the footsteps of our father, the expectations of our fathers that are placed on us. And sometimes we don't meet that, sometimes we do, but it's never enough. A family man that's struggling to provide for his family, but also, no pun intended, trying to exercise the demons out, right? Trying to find your faith with God, trying to find your fellowship with God, right? Trying to find your faith with God. And it's very hard to do, not only in the real world, but it's trying to portray and tell a story that this is my struggle. Right? So let's discuss. R.A.P the demo, rhythm and poetry, the demons exercise monsters out. Let's give a little track breakdown. Intro. Right? This is basically, it's not your general intro of like you're hearing a beat, you're hearing a track, right? You're hearing and this is my opinion, right? You'll hear more from the interview. This is somebody who is kind of walking towards their purpose, walking towards what they dreamed and wanted to do for a long time. Sometimes you just get that push, and you can hear that. So Logic is on this, and you can hear it. You ready to go, man? Ready to do this? And just the response from him saying that, from a man that's ready. And as artists out there, I bet you can relate to this. You ready, man, from your engineer? And I just felt that. Right. Just Me. Just Me is kind of that track that he's just portraying and giving you the blueprint of who he is. Great track. Great starting out track. Right. Off the top freestyle. This goes back to the freestyle artist that we spoke about. This is his lane. Being a freestyle. Being him. Off the top freestyle is just what it is. Amazing beat. And him specifying during the interview, he didn't write this. He just spit, no pun intended, speaking it off the dome, speaking it off the head. We've had a number of artists that have been great at freestyling, but sometimes it doesn't come out as putting songs together. Right? So amazing track here. Black Sheep was my favorite track on this album. It goes neck and neck and tie with another track I'm going to speak about in a second. Right? Just about a lot of the voicemail from his father, the speaking on his father, the expectations that his father has placed on him. And I can't wait for you guys to kind of see this interview of, what was that like, right? Trying to follow in the footsteps of your father. And when you feel like internally from your heart that you haven't met those expectations, right? It's tough. You struggle, especially you being a father, a husband, right? Providing for your family. That's the toughest thing to do because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to slip up, right? Black Sheep was my favorite track on the album so far, right? For My Dad. For My Dad is an amazing emotional track. It's basically a message to his father, the things he wanted to say to his father, the conversations he wanted to say to his father. Having the encouragement to say, hey, I may not have lived under your expectations, but I'm doing okay. Don't be upset, right? I'm creating my own life for me, right? Lord, I Need You, Lukewarm, is another one of my favorite tracks, right? And Lord, I Need You, right, Lukewarm, is basically speaking from the faith. Right? We all struggle with, we want the Lord to appease to us and give us what we want when we want it, but we're on God's time. God willing is only going to allow things to happen under His accord. And it speaks to that. Lord, I need you. It's a prayer. It's a way of saying, hey, I know I've been lukewarm with you. Right? And I know sometimes, man, I've spoken on having issues with God, blaming through my earlier tracks, being able to blame God for a lot of things that happened in my life. Why, God, did you allow this to happen? Right? So a lot of this is, I need you, God. Luke, it's just saying, I really need you. Right? We say it many times. God willing. God is only going to allow what He allows to happen. Right? Off the top freestyle part 2 is basically a part 2 to the freestyle. Again, it's obvious. And it's kind of funny. This is kind of where I bring in a lot of logic. There are some skits in here that kind of reminiscent of Logic, to where he's talking about, hurry up to his daughter, kind of, and that bond in that relationship with his daughter, right? Following in his footsteps, looking up to him as a father. Right? Amazing freestyle there, right? And I actually prefer this one better than the first one. Seems Like Yesterday was another standout track. It's kind of just reminiscent of everything that is going on. Just a terrible, terrible day. Right? Monsters, Where's the Love? This is one of those tracks that just asking, right? Speaking in a lot of society, speaking in a lot of, we've got a lot of things going on right now in political world, real life, social world, and just asking from a lot of our community leaders, a lot of our, church leaders, a lot of society. Where is the love? Where is it? Right. And I ask that all the time. Right. I've got and a side note here, a lot of our society, man, we go through a lot of political issues. There's a lot of division in this country, right? Because of the results of what happened, everything's God willing. But we're not loving each other right now, and I know that's easier said than done. But it's just a matter of, there's so much divide. It's a divide in music on how music should be performed, how it should be heard, the type of music you should be doing, and it's just a matter of, yes, let the people decide. But nobody should really bash on one's opinion of how things should be. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. But when you take the love out of it, mostly the respect out of it, is the issue I have. And I say it every time from the beginning. I'm not here to tell you, how your music should be. I'm giving you my opinion, but it's also an open lane and open advice to say, hey, this is what I would do. This is how I would have made that song. This is how I view that song. Not saying you're a bad artist. It's just in certain layers, the execution may not have been right. I didn't like that line, or this didn't work. But people take that harshly. People take people's opinion in any form of society harshly, and they bash them for it. That was another one of my favorite tracks. Right? Stay Fresh. Stay Fresh was, I like the switch as far as changing the tone a little bit. And during the interview, I did say, man, this is you. But personally, me, I'm not the biggest fan of West Coast beats. Right. But I understand this is him. This is his album. This is his music. Right. Now, when I go back to this song, maybe. Do I acknowledge this song? Yes. Is it my cup of tea? No. But I appreciate it because it's him. It's a good track. It's a West Coast track. It's him. He had the confidence to be able to portray being fresh to him. So I will say, not that I don't like the track, but it's not my favorite, other than the ones I've just specified here. Right. Until next time, it's pretty much a homage to the whole Inverse Tangent, myself, So Logic, Destruct, and just being able to have the support system to help this artist and many other artists that may need help. I tell you that it's important to have certain people in your circle. Right? That's up to you to weed them out. Who's that in your circle for you? But I will say, in the core, and I give this album an 8.5 to a 9. Right? I will say to this artist, DL, right? Continue what you're doing. Continue your rapping. Continue to tell your story. I want a little bit. I love the emotion. I love the passion. But I will say to you, right? Give me more of that anger, right? Give me more of that passion of, I'm the best out here, right? You deserve a place in this industry. Not saying you have to sign to a label to prove that you're the best, but, and I tell this to myself all the time, that confidence to say you are the best in all facets of life, emotionally, purposeful, passionately. I felt that in this album. Continue your journey. Continue, and I'm going to be continuing watching you in your journey. Not only watching you, but encouraging you to the fact that, yeah, you're a good artist, and this album portrays that. No matter how long it took you to make this album, I acknowledge it. And I tell you guys, as far as the rap review room today, this artist does, an album does require your attention to listen to. Definitely follow him. His music will be down in the description box. Like I said, I give this album an 8.5 to a 9. Right. DL, rap, the demo, right. Rhythm and poetry, the demons, exercised, monsters, out. All right. I appreciate being honored to review this album. I appreciate being able to review other albums, whether that may be a track or if you did an interview. If you're an up-and-coming artist and you want your music reviewed here, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We can definitely get your music reviewed here, whether that may be a track, an album, or if you would like an interview. Don't hesitate to follow me here on Instagram, and we can definitely debate. We ain't got to hate on each other. Let's debate about it. All right? I'm Philosophical from the Rap Review Room, y'all. How about y'all?